So that was interesting. That's the first video of all the ones we've done that I'm having trouble getting to the concept. Like musically, at least in terms of the arrangement, I'm not really feeling water or the ocean or anything. I guess maybe a little bit on the xylophone or the bass. But I think for me, it's so I really dislike the piano sound. Piano is called a spinet, and it's kind of a one step up from a toy piano, in my opinion. And it sounds crappy in a way that kind of anchors the song down in a way that doesn't feel watery to me. So it's interesting. Again, this is sort of, we come at things differently. You were saying before we started talking about the story of the song, which like I didn't pay a lot of attention to. But for you, like that story comes through.
Yeah, well, first let me talk about the story of why the background looks different behind me.
Oh, sure.
Since we tried to record this once already and had some connectivity issues in my guest room, which is in a little no man's land in the back corner of my house. So I had to switch to my bedroom since it was available. So that's what that's all about. But so yeah, I don't think, again, I don't think necessarily to achieve the theme that the music needs to reinforce the theme. I think in this case, the music, both in the instrumentation and the, and the vocal style, I think is meant to convey emotion. And I think that emotion is sort of, it's melancholy, but in terms of like the piano quality, this idea of kind of rundown.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Battered, weathered.
Yeah.
She could have played it on a saloon piano. Would have worked for me too.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
But in terms of the story, yeah, I mean, you've got like she really just set the scene of this place. She talks about sort of the mail being delivered in secret because not a lot of people are reaching out to the people that live in this place. So you don't want to make anybody else jealous that somebody else got the mail. She describes the importance of the lighthouse preventing accidents. She talks about at one point, she says the harbor becomes the sea, and so I just imagine sort of the waves literally sort of erasing the docks in that moment during a storm. And then during the chorus, she talks about how the sea doesn't recognize its own sort of size and strength, but the mountains do. And so I just imagine, just that idea of the size and strength of the ocean smashing boats into the rocks, if not for the lighthouse protecting them. But then later on in the later verse, you also have just this idea of just what the people are like that live there. And she just talks about how she says, she describes one of them as being white as I think bleached bones, and that you hope for your babies, but they've grown up to be sort of weathered and beaten down. And so just this, if you've ever been, I lived in New England. I lived near Gloucester, which is famously where A Perfect Storm, that movie A Perfect Storm, takes place, or they set out from there. I've recently been to Iceland, and so you really do get this sense of, that the places, those places, and the people that live in those places just are constantly dealing with sort of the eroding quality of water affects not just the wood that they build things out of and the landscape, but it sort of affects them and their spirits as well to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I would say the song doesn't feel unsuccessful. It does feel like it's about the melancholy and it's about the rundownness. And I was thinking it's a strange choice to pick that piano for a performer of her stature, but it was probably, like you say, like intentional to kind of convey that feel. Very interesting.
Or it's just that artsy pretentiousness that comes from Canadian alt rockers, so
yeah.
Or American alt rockers for that matter.
Right.
So
yeah, interesting. Well, what's
anytime
next?
you're part of a musical collective like Broken Social Scene, I think you're allowed to sort of, you know, make odd choices like
Right.
that.
Yes.
Anyway, so what's next? So
Yes.
what's next is, I think, pretty well known. I assume you know this song already. I think most people will. This is Night Swimming by REM off of arguably their most famous album, which is Automatic for the People. Just a beautiful song and a really beautiful video too. That's just about sort of water as a sort of a place of reflection. Like literally you can see your reflection in it, but also this person in particular, the story of this song is about looking back at literal swimming at night as an adolescent, and just kind of thinking about that memory again.
Yes, I do know this song, but I've never seen the video, and I haven't probably heard it since like 2001. So let's give it a listen.